I think I have some other things that I'll find in just a moment too, but yeah, so over on Game Rant, PC Gamer finds clever way to turn Steam games into physical cartridges. This might have been it. So a PC Gamer transformed some of their Steam game library into cartridges using some spare 2.5 solid state drives, SSDs. Although Steam is primarily known for its vast digital library, the custom game cartridge system is one way that some PC games can be preserved by users. For over 2 decades, Steam has been the most popular storefront for PC games across the industry. Though physical Steam games were once common in the late 2000s to early 2010s, the majority of games currently available on Valve's storefront are exclusively digital, with PlayStation receiving backlash for moving away from physical media in favor of digital exclusivity for the next console generation. Users have flocked to Steam in response to the pending moves. Yeah, this is exactly what I saw. I think I want to say this is exactly what I saw. Yes. Hang on, just to see if there is. Yeah, it's gonna be. Let's see what this is. Oh, so it's on the our PC Master Race is probably one of the decent places to go on Reddit, or at least especially was because they used to have a whole thing for PC builds and stuff like that. So, but let's check this out really quick here. I like that clock though. I'm not getting any audio though. Do I have the? Hang on. I don't have the. I have muted, so I don't know. Huh. Weird. It's not giving me any audio. But oh, for God's sakes. All right, now it's playing the sound from whatever that video was I just had up by accident. Hang on. Let's see if it'll. You need to finish Armored Core. So static. I don't know about this one. I don't know if my brother played it though. Yeah, there's just no audio, unfortunately. But though physical game discs are not as profitable as digital copies, one Steam user shared a clever method that they crafted for playing some of their favorite PC games. A Reddit user named Jibril Sama shared a short video demonstrating their custom Steam game cartridge setup on their Linux PC. The cartridge creator said they used some cheap 2.5 SSDs with a capacity of 128 gigabytes each as the main basis. Each SSD was then placed in a colorful 3D printed cartridge, and that also showed the game's key art on the top side. The OP then picked the original poster, then picked up a purple Steam cartridge containing Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon, and inserted it into a customized SATA dock. Once plugged in, Armored Core 6 was ready to play within the second. Along with Armored Core 6, some of the Steam games that the original poster converted into cartridges included Monster Hunter World, Cyberpunk 2077, Forza Horizon 5. In a Tom's Hardware interview, Jibril Sama said that each SSD utilized a custom script to automatically navigate to each game's Steam page and boot up the game shortly after. Valve's Steam URL protocol was then leveraged in the background. The cartridge creator then said that their system was made as a way to play titles that they did not play often. Additionally, the 2.5 SSDs they purchased for their Steam game cartridges were roughly $8 on the secondhand market. While Jibril Sama stated that they did not use cartridges for live service titles, they stated that if a game required an update, they would let Steam handle it. So that's much like if you would with like your game console. That right, with the current game consoles especially, they ought to do their little updates if you let it. In response, most users stated they felt inspired to try something similar with their own Steam library. Others users said they could do the same with PC games on other storefronts, such as GOG. In light of Sony's controversial choice to move away from physical discs by 2028, GOG recently reaffirmed its support for physical media as a way to back up games available on its platform. Given that the ongoing DRAM shortage crisis has caused the prices of RAM and SSDs to skyrocket through 2026, the fact that the aforementioned Steam cartridge system uses secondhand drives is an economical solution. It remains to be seen how many users try to create a PC game cartridge system of their own. I think I saw GOG talking about this. So GOG weighs in on PlayStation's physical disc controversy. PC gaming storefront Good Old Games GOG took a shot at PlayStation on social media, declaring that gamers do not need a storefront's permission to play purchase games. GOG's message came days after PlayStation announced its intention to shift from physical game discs by January 2028. Sony's intention to move away from releasing PlayStation titles on physical discs after 3 decades, go away, immediately drew the ire of gamers, developers, and other companies. Since PlayStation announcement, fans have called on the company to reconsider its move away from physical media. Despite the ongoing petitions against Sony's decision, Dr. Serkan Toto of the consulting firm Canton Games stated that PlayStation is unlikely to change its stance against physical releases come 2028. GOG tweet here said, download the offline installer of your games on GOG, save it to disk, and it's yours forever. You don't need a storefront's permission to play what you bought. With the gaming industries at large criticizing Sony's move towards digital exclusivity, GOG followed suit. Despite being a digital PC storefront, it stated on social media that users can download the offline installer for any games on the GOG platform and save the data to a disk format of their choice as a way to keep a copy. GOG reaffirmed its anti-DRM policy by stating that gamers should not need any storefront's permission to play any games. Although Steam is the largest PC gaming storefront, by most metrics, GOG has carved a niche by being one of the most reliable storefronts for obtaining classic and modern PC titles across multiple platforms, and they are doing more so with their preservation program and stuff like that. Really check them out. I can't put them over enough right now, and I hope I'm not being mistaken in doing so, because like it is, things change. There's always a regime. There's not always, but there can be regime changes within these companies, and suddenly new directions happen. So I hope I'm not too wrong in this. It won't be for a very long time. Yeah, Static, I have. He says, you see Xbox rumors of keeping physical. That would be so funny. Yeah, the main thing that I heard about them keeping, quote unquote, keeping physical was more of like, oh, with your current game library, back it up and keep it a quote unquote digital copy or whatever. But we'll see where that actually plays out, and it would be kind of funny if they stick to digital and suddenly go full physical, do a complete 180 on everything and go to physical again, or I guess I don't know, but yeah, that would be kind of funny, and especially like it is a follow-up to the way Sony gave them the finger back in the day. Xbox then gives them the finger right in return, so it would be funny. PlayStation move towards digital exclusivity could pose problems for some users. Some PlayStation users raised concerns that Sony's region locking policies could prevent players who move to another country from playing any digital titles on their account. As of writing this, PlayStation Network users cannot change the country or region that an account is based in. However, this is not the case with Steam or with Nintendo and Xbox consoles, as users can change and transfer regions easily. Excuse me. Although GOG did not outright name Sony in this message, the point was not lost on his user base. Several users replied with positive messages to GOG while also mocking PlayStation. Additionally, Sony could run into some legal headwinds with the upcoming change. Plans to file a formal antitrust complaint against PlayStation were announced by 2 Mexican government officials, federal representatives Reyes and Senator Luis Donaldo Colosio. Reyes stated that should physical discs disappear, it would create a monopoly by forcing users to purchase digital games through the PlayStation Store. Although the digital PlayStation titles can be sold through storefronts like Amazon, the codes must still be redeemed through Sony's network. Colacio claimed that PlayStation's decision was made under the assumption that every user can access or has access to an ISP with fast download speeds, which is not always the case. And that is kind of the other thing, and why things like OnLive and Google Stadia didn't take off. Because some areas of the country, even here in America, like not everybody has a drastically fast internet service provider to maintain the speeds that would be required to stream a game and stuff like that, or to download. So, you know, it's a conflicting issue. Though the company is staying the course in its plans, Sony subsequently stated that the games released before January 2028 would still have physical copies printed as necessary. Ergo, games such as Final Fantasy VII Revelation will likely be among the last major titles to receive physical disc released on the PlayStation 5. Although that's always to be determined on how much data is actually provided on the physical storage. So, I mean, the funny thing is that, like, yeah, like what this person did with the whole Steam cartridge idea, you could just as also easily do as a solution to keeping, you know, your own physical GOG games. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the cool thing with like a lot of the stuff that happens in these spheres is like people get really, really creative. And suddenly, like, we've got now all these new ways of kind of handling media in these different ways, which is just kind of cool. Yeah, here's the post that I initially saw before that article. PC Gamer has found the Steam makes, so this one also still doesn't have audio, but I guess it's just showing how it goes right to the game like that. Boom, pops it in, and then it goes right to the Armored Core, and that is kind of, and then we see the Elden Ring put in as well. And where was it? Yeah, so I already been done, but much cooler. I also did the same thing, but with discs to launch games. I guess we could also kind of check this out really quick.
Floppy disks have become so obsolete that their main recommended use case these days are coasters. And that is no fitting fate for a technology that is so cool. So today, we're gonna find a way.
But they're so flawed, dude. They were not the best forms of keeping data. Like, they were so flimsy and could, yeah, they're neat in a retro sense, but they're not. Like I said, they would never go full physical. No one would buy 2K then.
To use floppy disks to launch modern AAA title video games. And we'll do it step by step so you can follow along at home. We'll have to solve 3 major problems to get this to work, the last being by far the most challenging. But the first is the fact that floppy disks only contain 1.44 megabytes worth of data on them. And modern AAA title video games are well...
Static says the floppy disk method would be super simple to see. Okay, yeah, Hassan, thank you. Yeah, nah, man, you need zip disk. I remember the zip disk. My buddy had a zip disk system for, I think it was his Mac. Those were like more like, it seemed like heavier dutier discs. And hey, Real Wade Nation Gaming, how's it going, dude?
Above that threshold. In fact, for a 64 gigabyte game like this, we would need around 45,000 floppy disks to store that all. So yeah, that's a challenge. But even if we had 45,000 of these, how do you get a modern computer to run them? Thankfully, you can find 3.5-inch floppy to USB drives to exist, and they're pretty cheap. This is like... even though, like, I know there is, like, you know, VHS players still out there that people can get, this still kind of surprises me that there's even floppy drives out there available that you can still get. $15 on Amazon.
That seems funny to me.
I can't say I've ever used anything else from this brand. There's like a million knockoffs though, and they all should work. As we plug this drive into our computer, you can see it pop up in File Explorer. Floppy disk drive right there. And if we were to insert a random floppy disk and then open up this drive, you can see that, yes, we can actually read that floppy disk. And I did buy this floppy disk on eBay, and it had a bunch of random data on it. So now the challenge is how...
So this was 2 months ago. Okay.
How do we get it to launch something that is larger than it can physically hold? To solve this, we're going to try to take a page out of Nintendo's playbook, because with their Switch 2, the cartridges don't...
Son says, I vaguely remember a guy put Doom 2016 on like 1 million floppy disks. Oh, God. Oh, God bless them for doing so, I guess. Static says the game has to be installed on your hard drive first. Then when you put the disc in it, just has a script that will have the game logo for the icon that will just launch the game, no actual game file. Gotcha. Well, I mean, like, I just remember floppy disks just not being that reliable because, like, the magnetic strip could easily get damaged and stuff like that, which is why I'm kind of critical of the idea of using a floppy disk as a, you know, I mean, this is kind of a neat novelty, but not like something I would want to actually consider. Right. I would imagine it would feel like close to $1 million just to put Duke 2016 on there. But yeah, I get you, son.
Don't actually contain the physical game. Instead, they're using game key cards, which gives you access to download the game and like a license to play the game. Which, while might be a bit controversial, I wonder if we can use that same approach with our floppy disks. Because realistically, there's no way we're fitting a large modern game on a 1.44 megabyte disk. So instead, we're going to take advantage of Steam's URL protocol, which is basically a way for you to launch games in your game library from a URL. For example, steam://run game ID $730 will launch Counter-Strike 2, assuming you own it in your library. For example, if we want to change it to launch Cyberpunk.
So I'm imagining that's what that other guy did for the hard drive, or do something a little bit different. I wish we got a little more details for the guy that ran the hard drives.
And we can go to the store page, and if we come up here, you can see right after app, there's this number right here. In this case, 1091500. So if we change this number to 1091500, and now that's the Steam URL to launch Cyberpunk. Meaning if we can find a way for our floppy disk to trigger our computer to run that URL whenever it's inserted, well, hypothetically, we can launch that video game. But herein lies the next major hurdle. You see, prior to around 2010, you could plug in a flash drive or a CD or a floppy disk, and your computer would instantly run whatever was on, which by all means is a huge security violation. It's why you've heard that, like, not to plug in random USBs into your computer. For a long time, the default Windows setting was just to run the files on the drive plugged into your computer, meaning malware or keyloggers or something else nefarious could just instantly pop up on your computer. And so Windows did make a change to not allow auto runs to work when you plug in something new into your computer, which, while that is a good thing, it makes our project a little bit harder. It's time to go build our own auto run program for our floppy. We'll start by making a new text document right on our desktop, and we'll call it floppy launcher, just like that. So now if we open it up, we'll start by adding 2 lines. The first is to define where.
So Hassan went on a quick Google food trip here. He said, I forgot what the actual material was for a floppy disk. Gotta check now. He says, straight from Google. Floppy disks were constructed from a flexible polyester film called Mylar, coated with a magnetized material like iron oxide. Yeah, and like I said, like as I remember, they were notorious for failing. And I even had a couple that did. I think I had my Final Fantasy VII was on floppy from back in the day, and those unfortunately failed. And I was bummed as hell when that happened.
Where the floppy drive actually exists, which in most cases is going to be the.
Like this, when you're pressing the floppy disk into the drive, that metal strip that is otherwise protecting the film slides to the side, and that's what makes the connectivity to the system. So, you know, any dust particles and stuff like that could absolutely affect.
We can verify this by opening up our file explorer to see that our floppy disk drive is located at A. Next, we're going to define a file to read. In this case, we want to look for game.txt. This is basically the file that we're going to look for on our floppy disk in order to launch our game. With that defined, now we need to add the bulk of the actual functionality. And I will leave a copy of these files in the description down below in case you don't want to type this all out yourself. But what this loop is doing is waiting for us to insert a floppy disk, and as soon as we do, check to see if we can find that file, that game.txt file. And if we do, launch the Steam URL with that Steam.
How? I don't know. How the hell did you get found? I want to say it was. Maybe I might be wrong. Let me double check that. Hang on. I'm wrong. The original PC 98 release was on CD-ROM due to the game's massive size and extensive full motion video cinematics. I was wrong. Sorry. I'm blaming my tired brain right now. I was up playing Halo with the Melee Games community, so I'm blaming that. My bad. Back to this.
Steam ID that is associated in that game.txt file. Now, the important part is to save this as a PowerShell script. When you click Save As, it'll default it as a TXT file, but you want to go down to All Files, and then you want to type in .ps1. And then it'll look like this on your desktop, which if you run with PowerShell, you'll notice this PowerShell window does pop up, and I'll show you how to remove that in a little bit. But you'll also notice that your floppy disk drive should start trying to scan for floppy disks every few seconds.
Wade Singh watching you on my... Oh, happy birthday, dude. Hope you have a good day planned ahead of you. And thanks for being here and watching.
So now if we take a blank floppy disk that has nothing on it and insert it into here, well, expectedly, like no games are gonna launch. So instead, if we open up our floppy disk drive and inside of here create another text document and call this one game, now if we open up that document, we can add the simple line of ID equals and then the number. This is going to be the Steam ID of the game that we want this floppy disk to launch. In this case, 730 is Counter-Strike 2. So as soon as we save that text file, CS2 immediately launches, and that's because our script was actively running, which goes to show that this actually has teeth. So I'm gonna close that down and remove our floppy disk. Let's see now what happens if we insert this back into our drive. Well, as we plug it in, again, not touching anything else, will CS2 actually...
And you'll be in your Discord. Okay, cool. Maybe I will. I usually do have my nights sort of planned, and I also get really distracted at night because raisins. But yeah, I might. I know I got your invite. I might have to pop in. San says, man, I've got a stack of floppy disks that's been sitting at the corner of a desk for 20 something years. I just picked one up at the title and the title is Acid. I have no idea what's on it. Oh no. You no.
Launch? And it does. Okay, this is really cool. Meaning, now all we have to do is repeat this process for floppy disks for as many video games as we would like to launch. And in this case, I have like 5 or 6 more. So let's go ahead and turn all of these into game launchers for our Steam library. Oh, and to stop our auto launching script, we can just Control-C and that'll kill the program. So now if we want this floppy disk to launch Metal Slug 3, which is in my library, again, we can go to the store page and then look up the ID of this game, 250180. And now we can insert this empty floppy disk into our drive, open it up inside of our computer, right-click New Text Document. Again, just call it Game, and then open up that document and type in ID equals 250180. Save and close. And then simply repeat with as many games in your Steam library as you want to. I also find it very fun to draw the logo of the game that these floppy disks launch. Kind of makes it a bit more personal. Sometimes the logos turn out a bit better than others. I also did consider buying stickers of the actual like cover artwork of these games to stick on the floppy disk up here. But that's part of the fun of having your own physical game launchers. And the other fun part is finding out a way to store your old floppy disk, which I will say is probably the biggest challenge of doing this, because I mean, my Steam library has hundreds.
So this is a little novel idea for sure, being able to just to kind of pop in a floppy disk and it boots up the game like that, but it's like, it's still not a way of backing up and preserving the digital game that you've bought and owned. This is kind of a neat way to launch the game, sure, but it's not quite backing up and everything. Hello, Drizzy Drake over on the Rumble side. Good morning. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Says I got you tabbed. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. Real Wade Nation Gamer says I'll be at 9 p.m. CST Central Time till midnight. Gotcha. Well, like it is. I hope you have a great time. Like I said, I'll try and pop by.
Of games inside of it.
We shall see.
If you did want to turn every single one of your games into a floppy disk, well, you are going to run into, well, I guess like a pretty classic problem of just storage management. And so I bought a handful of retro floppy disk holders, and we're gonna see which one is most fitting for our project. Oh wow, this one even came with extra floppies. Oh, that's awesome. Very nice. I think this Fellows brand was pretty popular in the floppy disk era. You can kind of see this one pops open to reveal the floppy disks right here. So if we stash in our game cards just like that, now we have a nice compact storage for our games. Wait, that's kind of cool. Then you can kind of just flip through them like this. All right, that's feasible. Let's see if option 2 is any better. Oh, wait, these also came with floppy disks. That's kind of the cool thing about working with floppies is people are just trying to get rid of them. So they're kind of easy to accumulate.
I think it's
right
funny
now.
people
wow,
still
these ones
have
are
a bunch of
see-through.
them.
That's really cool. Oh man, you can even color code your floppy disk based on the game. Like I'm sure some game out there would look better on a green disk than like an orange disk, you know? But okay, this is also a Fellows container, and let's see, I'm pretty sure there's a way to, oh, that's so cool. You can pop open the games like this vertically. Whoa, wait, that's so cool. It's a nice cascading effect. And then hypothetically, you could look for your games just like this. Also, what in the world is this? California Egg Commission? What is this? I'm kind of digging this Cascade one, but I'm almost wondering then if I just need to put like a little label of what game is at the top of each disc, because then hypothetically you'd be able to see it at a glance.
Yeah.
Strike.
It sounds like, oh man, he got the see-through
now
ones.
if that
Yeah.
was inserted into our Cascade.
Funny how, like
storage,
you said,
look at that. You can just
he
see
gets
it
these
right
and
at the
people
top.
just
Ooh,
send it
that's
right
pretty
to him.
cool. Now I will say there are a few caveats of this system that make it, well, maybe not work super awesome all of the time. The first is you don't want to have to launch this program every time you open your computer. And so to bypass that, we can create a second script called startfloppyhidden.vbs. This is a Visual Basic script file. And inside of there, we just need 2 lines. Set the object shell to create object wscript.shell, and then the shell.run powershell.exe bypass file, and then wherever our floppy launcher file actually is. In my case, it's just on my desktop. Running this script will prevent the PowerShell from actually popping up, so you won't have that window that you need to get rid of later. And then to make our start floppy hidden always run whenever our computer is launched, we can go into our startup app. So if we go inside of there, we can just enable start floppy hidden to on. And then every time our computer turns on, well, this script will run, which will essentially run our floppy launcher script. And while this does work pretty effectively to use floppy disks as a game launcher on your computer, the other downside is, well, like just kind of the functionality of how we've had to hack this together. At least with my drive, you can hear it chirp every 3 seconds. There it is again. There it is again. And that little chirp is basically the drive checking to see if a floppy disk is inserted. And that, of course, is right here. This start sleep seconds 3 inside of our floppy launcher PS1 file. Because this needs to always be listening, it does need to check at some interval whether a floppy disk has been inserted. And at least with this drive, every time it checks, it makes a noise. Which is kind of annoying. So if someone can come up with a better solution of either making that...
I would only guess that he's probably young and it does not remember the days of how loud our computers used to be.
more silent, or, you know, doing this all in a way that makes a little more sense, I would love to hear about it in the comments down below. Because I will say that launching games off floppies is a fascinating little project. And turning your digital Steam library into something that you can physically like move your fingers through is such a cool experience. So if any...
But it's not turning it into a physical library. It's just basically giving yourself a physical ability to launch the game instead of just doing it through the computer itself. It's cool. I kind of dig this idea. It's kind of that step in going for, yeah, physical media, but it's just still not quite there.
Process that would be
For this.
really cool. I will go ahead.
I think the hard drives is a much better option, which Static, I believe you talked about doing something kind of like that. With like thumb drives and stuff like that. So I mean that's kind of up that alley.
Like leave all these files that I've created so far in the description down below so that you guys can just start tinkering with them as well. But with that, I've been Mr. Yeaster, your tech tinker, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for following.
So I'll provide links to to this video and stuff like that for anybody that wants to check it out, because I'll probably clip this out and all that jazz. But interesting, cool little thing to do. I guess I'm not trying to bring down the whole thing. I can't help but commentate and bring up the certain downsides of what that brings, but it's really cool. And you know, again, with this whole physical media stuff, it's with this whole push for between digital, physical, and all that stuff, it's good to see that people are trying to create and come up with alternative ways to still be able to back up and provide these sort of things for your games, so you can still hold a sense of ownership on your games and everything. So yeah, I mean and we, like I said, again, we have some like GOG who are trying to maintain some digital ownership for people's games. Yes, I do agree, like what Static pointed out earlier, the push for digital ownership is going to be, you know, a big push that is going to be necessary. So that is also got to be also reminded of that for part of the conversation, not just, you know, the physical versus digital. So otherwise, yeah, that was that little topic. I did a little more than I had initially anticipated, but you know, you gotta love doing extra little deep dives in the middle of everything.
Thank you for watching this clip from Respawn Roast Cantina. Please like and subscribe if you like what you see, and check out the full episode.